We just did a round of layoffs and we have a hiring freeze. Our CEO expects us to keep delivering the same work, but we're drowning. What do I tell my team? What are my options?
Yeah, so I think first of all, recognizing that it's probably a tough situation. So if layoffs have happened and your team is already drowning, I think the first thing, instead of strategizing how to do more with less, will be probably figuring out how the team is actually feeling about work and things like that. So to Meg's point, I think you need to care first, what's happening with my team, and then how are we contributing. I think the second thing would be, after we've established that, it's a clarity as to what my team is responsible for delivering to the org. How are we doing it? Because if we're drowning, it's either we're layering in too many responsibilities from across the board, or maybe paying too many coordination taxes, which is causing a lot of problems. And that's why I think mapping out what are we delivering is going to be the next thing that I would do. And then once we have clarity on that, then we can actually go either to the CEO and say here's what we're doing. This is the bottleneck. I think I need 3 more people, or we need to invest in this tool. I think I would come up with solutions and say either we cut back on this or you invest in this. And that would be my stance if I was team lead over there, with the 3 things I would do.
So you pretty much nailed most of my advice. I absolutely agree. Start with the team and get a pulse and clarity within the team, both for the grieving part of this change, but also clarity about the intention. So your job as a leader is not to spend all the time whinging, nor spend all the time telling everybody what maybe was on the shareholder meeting, right? You need to connect the dots for people in a way that's both human and aligned in the business. So starting out with both the tough love, hey, we didn't want to have a layoff. Nobody wanted that. The business overall, maybe our group is doing great, but the business overall has a reason that it needs to reduce cost quickly, and that's the context of the layoff. Obviously, we know there's layers under that story, but making sure that you have both the clarity of what the business is trying to achieve with this restructure, and then start with, exactly to your point, getting really clear on what the needs that you can deliver, getting really clear on how you might do your work differently, and have an expectation that you're going to think about what you're doing, not just the outcomes, but also how you're doing your work, how it will change in this new context, and spend the time as a team to really articulate, here's how we're making these decisions, and here's what that means in terms of whether we're going to have to move dates out, or whether we're going to have to shift what we're delivering, or to your point, whether we say, hey, without additional investment, this is what it looks like. I think these are all places where you can show up with leadership. And then from a personal thing, I always just keep playing the Rolling Stones in the background. You can't always get what you want, because if nothing else, it gives me a personal release to the reality of, I'm not going to convince anyone. I'm not going to convince the team that everything should be done differently, nor am I going to convince the CEO that we can't do everything. It is my job to make sure that we're doing the right things, and that I'm both appreciating and empathizing with both contexts, but also communicating as to how we're going to do something different with this new reality of less people.
And just to add to both of those, I think it's really easy to get super emotional. I mean, it's an emotional topic, but that often causes one to quickly generalize, right? And just start to rant of oh, we can't do this. We need this, right? And that's not going to help you. That's not going to help the team. It's not going to help the business. So the best thing that you can do is really, like both Usman and Meg said, is to get that work inventory, and to kind of validate the priorities of various outcomes that you have, and to mobilize your team to come together to figure that out, to get that all documented in a very kind of objective way, so that then you can bring that forward as facts to the CEO, to the leadership, to be able to say, okay, here's what we're going to do, here's how we're going to do it, and here is what we need if you want more, right? And to really lay it out very very thoughtfully, because it's just so easy to go to that emotional state of, we need more people, and we can't do any of the stuff you asked us to do. And then invariably what happens then is you say, well, we can do this if you just give us all of these things. And then the CEO says, great, you'll do all those things, but you don't get any more people and you don't get any more resources or tools. So good luck with all that. So it's very easy to fall into that emotional trap, and it does not work out for you well. So really being able to lay it out and have your team help you lay it out together is what I would suggest.